Ethan Donovan stood motionless in the cavernous living room of his Malibu mansion, barefoot on the Italian marble that now felt ice-cold beneath his feet. The morning light streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating empty spaces where priceless art had hung just days before. His phone buzzed relentlessly on the kitchen counter. Lawyers, creditors, former friends, all vultures circling what remained of his life. The San Francisco Chronicle lay unfurled on his imported teak coffee table, his own face staring back at him beneath the damning headline, "Donovan Tech Empire Collapses Amid Fraud Allegations. CEO Loses Billions Overnight." 6 months ago, in this very room, 200 people had raised champagne flutes to toast his success. His soon-to-be ex-wife Rebecca had been absent. In her place stood Sophia Laurent, her arm possessively linked through his, her diamond bracelet, his gift, catching the light with every graceful movement. Ethan's phone stopped buzzing, then immediately started again. He ignored it, walking to the wall of glass overlooking the Pacific. A message alert pulled his attention to the screen, an image from TMZ showing Sophia in Milan. Already on another man's arm, he hurled the phone against the wall with surprising force, watching it shatter into pieces, much like everything else in his life, 8 months earlier. "To resilience and reinvention," Marcus Chen said, raising his glass of 18-year-old Macallan. Who would have thought 2 coding nerds from Stanford would build a $3 billion company? Ethan clinked glasses with his oldest friend and business partner. They sat in the corner booth of Luca's, the upscale San Francisco restaurant where they'd celebrated every milestone since founding Donovan Tech 15 years ago. "You're forgetting the most important toast," Ethan said, his eyes crinkling with genuine warmth. "To our families, who put up with our 60-hour weeks and middle-of-the-night coding sessions." Marcus nodded soberly. "Rebecca deserves sainthood for not divorcing you during the Series B crunch." Ethan's smile faltered slightly. "She's always been my rock," he said, but the words felt hollow. When was the last time he and Rebecca had really talked? Not about Olivia's college applications or household logistics, but about dreams, fears, desires. He couldn't remember. His phone buzzed with a text from Rebecca. "Meeting running late." "Don't wait up. Left dinner in fridge. Everything okay?" Marcus asked, noticing Ethan's change in expression. "Fine," Ethan replied automatically. "Just Rebecca working late again. The Thompson case is going to trial next month." "The successful power couple," Marcus said with a hint of envy. "Corporate titan and star attorney. You two are living the dream, are we?" Ethan wondered, but kept the thought to himself. The quarterly investor gala at the SF MoMA was Donchin's way of combining philanthropy with relationship management. Ethan moved through the crowd with practiced ease, shaking hands, remembering spouses' names, asking about children's graduations and recent vacations. Rebecca had begged off at the last minute, another late trial preparation, leaving Ethan to play host alone. "Mr. Donovan?" A melodic voice with a hint of French accent cut through his rehearsed small talk. He turned to find himself looking into the most striking pair of green eyes he'd ever seen. The woman was tall, nearly reaching his 6-foot frame in her heels, with elegant features and honey blonde hair swept into a simple updo. "I'm Sophia Laurent," she continued, offering her hand. "The museum asked me to model for the new digital arts wing promotion." Ethan took her hand, momentarily speechless. He'd seen models before. This was San Francisco, after all. But something about Sophia's presence commanded attention without demanding it. "Pleasure to meet you, Sophia." "Please call me Ethan." "Your company's work on neural interfaces is fascinating," she said, surprising him. "I read about your breakthrough in helping locked-in syndrome patients communicate. You follow neural tech?" he asked, unable to keep the surprise from his voice. She laughed, a genuine sound that made heads turn. "I have degrees in both fine arts and cognitive science. Modeling pays the bills while I pursue my true interests." For the next hour, they discussed everything from consciousness theory to Italian Renaissance painting. Ethan found himself more intellectually stimulated than he'd been in months. "Your wife must be proud to be married to someone so passionate about making a difference," Sophia said eventually, glancing around the room. She couldn't make it tonight, Ethan replied, feeling a pang of something like guilt. Rebecca's a corporate attorney. Her schedule is even more demanding than mine. That must be difficult, Sophia said, her eyes conveying understanding rather than judgment. Finding balance when you're both so driven. Before Ethan could respond, a tall man in an impeccably tailored suit approached. Sophia, we need to meet the museum director before he leaves. Of course, she said, then turned back to Ethan. This is my manager, Jackson Reed. Jackson, Ethan Donovan, CEO of Donchin. Jackson's handshake was firm, his smile professional. Your reputation precedes you, Mr. Donovan. Sophia, we should go. Sophia nodded, then handed Ethan a business card. I'm participating in a panel on neuroscience and art next week at Berkeley. You might find it interesting. After she left, Ethan found himself staring at the elegant card, tracing his finger over the embossed lettering. For the first time in years, he felt a spark of something he couldn't quite name, something dangerous and exhilarating. Dad, are you even listening? Olivia's exasperated voice pulled Ethan from his thoughts. They sat at the kitchen island, Rebecca already gone for the day, their housekeeper Maria preparing Olivia's favorite smoothie. Sorry, sweetheart. Early meeting. What were you saying? Olivia rolled her eyes. I said I got into Berkeley's summer research program. The one I've been talking about for months? That's fantastic, Ethan said, giving his daughter his full attention now. The neuroscience one, right? Working with Dr. Kim? Yes, Olivia's face lit up. Only 10 high school students got accepted. Mom already knows. I called her yesterday when I found out. A small sting of hurt surprised Ethan. Once upon a time, he would have been Olivia's first call. I'm incredibly proud of you, Liv. This calls for a celebration. Dinner at Nobu tonight? Can't, mock trial competition. Mom's helping us prepare, Olivia said, grabbing her smoothie. Gotta go, carpooling with Zach. Ethan watched his daughter leave, suddenly aware of how disconnected he felt from his family's daily rhythms. When had that happened? When had he become an afterthought in their lives, the way they had become in his? Later that day, he found himself looking at Sophia's card again, then impulsively sending an email asking if the Berkeley panel was open to the public. Her response came within minutes. For you, I'm sure an exception can be made. I'd love to continue our conversation. The affair began slowly, then all at once. First, innocent coffees after her panel discussion. Then lunch meetings to discuss a potential Donchin Foundation grant for arts education. Soon they were meeting in out-of-the-way restaurants, talking for hours. Ethan found himself inventing business trips, staying at hotels where Sophia would meet him. He told himself it wasn't just physical attraction, though that was undeniable. It was the way she looked at him when he spoke, as though his words were precious gifts. It was how she asked about his dreams, not his stock options. With Sophia, he felt seen for the first time in years. Rebecca, consumed with a class action lawsuit that could make her the youngest partner at her firm, barely noticed his absences. Or if she did, she didn't comment. They had become experts at parallel living, occupying the same spaces without ever truly connecting. The crisis point came on his and Rebecca's 15th anniversary. He'd forgotten completely until his assistant mentioned it. Panicked, he'd made last-minute reservations at Rebecca's favorite restaurant, ordered flowers, bought a diamond bracelet he'd later give to Sophia. When he arrived home that evening, ready with apologies and gifts, he found Rebecca sitting at the dining room table surrounded by files. "Happy anniversary," he said weakly. Holding out the roses, Rebecca looked up, confusion crossing her face before realization dawned. Oh God, Ethan, I completely forgot. The admission should have relieved him. Instead, it devastated him. They had reached the point where neither remembered the day they'd once considered sacred. I made reservations at Quince, he said. Setting the flowers down, Rebecca gestured at the documents spread before her. I can't. The Thompson deposition is tomorrow, and I'm nowhere near ready. Rain check? In that moment, looking at his brilliant, beautiful wife who had become a stranger, Ethan made his decision. No problem. I understand. That night, he met Sophia at the St. Regis and gave her the bracelet meant for his wife. It's beautiful, she gasped, allowing him to clasp it around her wrist. But Ethan, I can't accept this. Please, he said, kissing her wrist just above the diamonds. I want to give you everything. 3 weeks later, he asked Rebecca for a divorce. Rebecca sat perfectly still on the sofa in Ethan's home office, her lawyer's composure firmly in place despite the bomb he had just dropped. Is there someone else? She asked finally, her voice clinical, as though she were deposing a hostile witness. Ethan couldn't meet her eyes. Yes? Do I know her? No, her name is Sophia. She's a model and cognitive scientist. Rebecca nodded once, processing the information. How long? 3 months. A flash of pain crossed her face, quickly controlled. I see, and you're certain this is what you want? Rebecca, we haven't been happy together for years. We barely speak, barely see each other. When was the last time we were truly connected? So this is my fault? Her voice remained calm, but her knuckles whitened as she gripped her knees. No, it's both of us. We chose our careers over our marriage. We grew apart. That's a convenient narrative, Ethan. We grew apart. So you found someone new. Simple cause and effect. Rebecca stood, smoothing her skirt. I'll have my assistant recommend some good divorce attorneys. I obviously can't represent myself. I want this to be fair, Ethan said quickly. You can have the house and I'll be generous with— Stop, Rebecca cut him off, her composure finally cracking. Don't you dare try to assuage your guilt with money. Not now. She walked to the door, then paused. Does Olivia know? Not yet. I wanted to tell you first, Rebecca nodded. We'll tell her together. She deserves that much from us. As she left, Ethan called after her. I never meant to hurt you. Rebecca turned, her eyes suddenly filled with tears she refused to shed. That's the problem with you, Ethan. You never mean to do anything harmful. You just follow your impulses and rationalize the consequences later. The words struck him like physical blows, but he had no defense against their truth. Telling Olivia was worse than Ethan had imagined. His daughter, always so poised and mature, broke down completely. How could you do this to Mom? She sobbed. To our family? Olivia, Rebecca said gently. This decision involves both your father and me. I don't want you blaming him entirely. Ethan shot his wife a grateful look, which she pointedly ignored. Are you moving out? Olivia asked him, wiping angry tears away. Yes, I found an apartment downtown until things are settled. And what about her? Olivia couldn't bring herself to say Sophia's name. You don't need to meet Sophia until you're ready, Ethan assured her. This doesn't change how much I love you, Liv. You're still my daughter. Well, you're not acting like my father, Olivia said, standing up. A father doesn't destroy his family for some model. She stormed out, leaving Ethan and Rebecca in painful silence. Give her time, Rebecca said finally. She's hurt and confused. Thank you, Ethan said, for not turning her against me. Rebecca gathered her belongings. I would never use our daughter as a weapon, Ethan. Unlike you, I consider the impact of my actions on others. Life with Sophia was intoxicating. They traveled to Paris, Rome, Tokyo, everywhere Donchen had offices or investors. She accompanied him to business functions, charming everyone she met. Jackson remained a constant presence, managing Sophia's increasingly successful career while maintaining a professional distance from Ethan. When a feature in Business Insider labeled them tech's hottest power couple, Sophia laughed and kissed him. They have no idea what we're capable of together. The divorce proceeded amicably enough on the surface. Rebecca made no unreasonable demands, accepting the settlement Ethan's lawyers proposed with minimal changes. If the proceedings dragged on longer than necessary, Ethan attributed it to normal legal complications, not deliberate delay tactics. 6 months into their relationship, Ethan bought a ring, a flawless 5-carat diamond that cost more than his first house. Isn't it too soon? Marcus asked when Ethan showed him the ring over lunch. Your divorce isn't even final. When you know, Ethan replied confidently. Sophia understands me in a way Rebecca never did. Marcus studied his friend. You've known Rebecca for 20 years, Sophia for 6 months. Just be careful, man. You sound like my mother, Ethan laughed. Sophia isn't after my money, if that's what you're implying. She has her own successful career. I'm not implying anything, Marcus said, hands raised in surrender. I just want you to be happy. I am happy. Happier than I've been in years. The words felt true as he said them, but later that night, as he watched Sophia sleeping beside him, a creeping doubt entered his mind. He pushed it away, focusing instead on the future he envisioned with her. Passionate, exciting, free from the stagnation that had consumed his marriage. The first sign of trouble came when Sophia suggested Ethan invest in an AI fashion startup run by a friend of hers. Their algorithm predicts trend cycles with incredible accuracy, she explained over dinner at his penthouse. They just need seed funding to scale. Send me their business plan, Ethan said, kissing her hand. If it looks promising, I'll have Marcus review it. A shadow crossed Sophia's face. I was hoping to surprise Jackson. He's been so supportive of my career, and I want to return the favor by bringing in an investor directly. Jackson's involved with this startup? He's advising them informally, Sophia said. It would mean so much to me if you'd consider it. Just a small investment to help them get started. $2 million later, Ethan was a major stakeholder in Fashion AI, with Jackson installed as acting CEO. The business plan had looked sound, and Marcus, though initially skeptical, had eventually agreed the concept had potential. More concerning was Sophia's increasing interest in Donchen's operations. She began asking detailed questions about their neural interface technology, their security protocols, their upcoming product launches. When Ethan gently deflected, she pouted. "Don't you trust me?" she asked, hurt evident in her voice. "Of course I do," he assured her. "But some of that information is proprietary. Board members don't even have all the details." "I'm not asking for state secrets, Ethan. I'm trying to understand your world so I can support you better." Put that way, how could he refuse her? Gradually, he began sharing more. Nothing confidential, he told himself, just general information any informed partner might know. Meanwhile, Rebecca finally signed the divorce papers. The news should have elated him, but instead left him feeling strangely hollow. That night, he proposed to Sophia. She accepted with tears of joy, the massive diamond sparkling on her finger as she called Jackson to share the news. "We should celebrate," she said after hanging up. "Jackson's invited us to dinner tomorrow at his place in Napa. He has an announcement of his own." Jackson's place turned out to be a sprawling vineyard estate with views of the entire valley. As their driver navigated the private road leading to the main house, Ethan felt a flicker of unease. "Jackson owns this? On a manager's salary?" Sophia laughed lightly. "He manages several high-profile clients, not just me. And he comes from old money. Banking, I think." The evening proceeded pleasantly enough. Jackson was charming, congratulating them on their engagement and serving rare wines from his personal cellar. His announcement was that Fashion AI had secured a partnership with a major retail chain. "Your investment made it possible," he told Ethan, raising his glass. "To fruitful partnerships." Later, exploring the house while Sophia and Jackson discussed an upcoming photo shoot, Ethan noticed a familiar name on a framed document in Jackson's study. He moved closer, confirming what he thought he'd seen. Rebecca Donovan. It was a law school diploma from Harvard, identical to the one that hung in Rebecca's office. Beneath it, a photograph showed a younger Jackson with his arm around Rebecca at what appeared to be a graduation party. "Finding anything interesting?" Jackson's voice came from the doorway. Ethan turned, gesturing to the diploma. "You know my ex-wife?" Jackson smiled, stepping into the room. "Rebecca and I dated briefly in law school. Small world, isn't it? I didn't make the connection until Sophia mentioned your divorce proceedings." "You never thought to mention this?" Jackson shrugged elegantly. "Ancient history. Rebecca and I parted amicably. She was always more brilliant than me. I left law for the entertainment industry and we lost touch." He paused. "Does it bother you?" "No," Ethan said quickly. "Just surprised." Well, now you know all my secrets, Jackson said with a laugh that didn't quite reach his eyes. Shall we rejoin Sophia? The revelation nagged at Ethan throughout the evening and the drive back to San Francisco. What were the odds that Sophia's manager had dated his ex-wife? The coincidence seemed too perfect. For the first time, he began to wonder if meeting Sophia had been coincidence at all. The second red flag appeared 2 weeks later when Marcus called him into a private meeting. "We may have a security breach," Marcus said without preamble, closing his office door. "What kind of breach?" "Someone's been accessing sensitive files, product roadmaps, client lists, financial projections. The access points trace back to your credentials." "That's impossible," Ethan said. "I haven't shared my passwords with anyone." Marcus's expression remained grave. "The logs show access from your home network and your laptop. Have you left your computer unattended recently? Anyone who might have had opportunity to use it?" Sophia's face flashed in Ethan's mind. He immediately dismissed the thought as paranoid. "I'll change all my passwords and enable two-factor authentication for everything." "Already done," Marcus said. "I've also requested a security audit from an outside firm. Isn't that overkill?" "It could just be a glitch in the logging system." "Maybe," Marcus conceded. "But with the Neuralink contract negotiations ongoing, we can't be too careful." Ethan nodded reluctantly. "Keep me posted." That night, he casually asked Sophia if she'd used his laptop recently. "Just to check my email when my phone was charging," she said, not looking up from her magazine. "Why?" "No reason. IT noticed some unusual login patterns." Sophia put down her magazine. "You think I hacked your company secrets?" Her tone was light, teasing. "Of course not," Ethan said quickly. "Just covering all bases." She kissed him, effectively ending the conversation. But the seed of doubt had been planted. The next day, Ethan did something he never thought he would. He hired a private investigator to look into Sophia's background. 3 days later, the PI delivered a file that would shatter his world. Sophia Laurent was born Sophie Leblanc in Montreal. No cognitive science degree. No fine arts background. She'd worked as an escort before being discovered by a modeling agency at 22. Jackson Reed, born Jack Reeves, had a record of financial fraud charges that had been dismissed under mysterious circumstances. Most damning of all, a series of photographs showing Sophia and Jackson in intimate embraces spanning the past 5 years, suggesting a relationship far deeper than model and manager. The final page contained a transcript of a phone conversation between Sophia and Jackson from 2 days earlier. "The Neuralink deal is happening next week. I saw the contract, all perfect timing. Once the announcement goes public, Donchen stock will soar, and then crash when the deal mysteriously falls through. How's our golden goose?" It's completely oblivious. He actually proposed Jay, poor bastard. Almost feel sorry for him. Don't. Remember what his company did to Rebecca. Ethan read the last line 3 times, his hands shaking. What had Donchen done to Rebecca? As far as he knew, they had no professional connection. He called Rebecca immediately, surprising them both. "I need to see you," he said without preamble. "It's important." They met at a coffee shop near her office, neutral territory. Rebecca looked tired but composed, her attorney face firmly in place. "What's so urgent, Ethan?" "The divorce is finalized. There's nothing left to discuss." "Do you know Jackson Reed?" Ethan asked bluntly. Rebecca's expression flickered almost imperceptibly. "Why?" "Just answer the question, please," she sighed. "Yes, we dated in law school." "What does this have to do with anything?" "Did Donchen harm you in some way? Professionally or otherwise?" Now Rebecca looked genuinely confused. "What are you talking about?" "I have reason to believe Sophia and Jackson are running some kind of con. They mentioned what Donchen did to you as motivation." Rebecca's confusion gave way to realization, then something like pity. "Oh, Ethan. What?" 5 years ago, I was working on a class action against Mindscope Therapeutics for their failed depression medication. I remember. You won. What you don't know is that Donchen's early neural interface technology was licensed to Mindscope for those trials. Your company wasn't named in the suit because the technology itself wasn't faulty. Mindscope's implementation was. But the technical reports mentioned Donchen's involvement. Ethan felt the blood drain from his face. And Jackson worked on that case with you. He was a junior associate, yes. He left the firm shortly after. Rebecca studied him. Ethan, what's going on? He briefly explained what he'd discovered, watching Rebecca's expression shift from skepticism to alarm. If they're manipulating Donchen's stock through insider trading, that's federal prison time, she said. For them and potentially for you, if they used information you provided. I didn't knowingly give them anything confidential, Ethan insisted. But Sophia may have had access to my laptop. Rebecca went into lawyer mode instantly. You need to document everything. Call Marcus, alert your security team, contact the SEC before they contact you. The Neuralink deal is set to be announced Monday, Ethan said. If they're planning to tank it somehow, then you have 3 days to stop them, Rebecca finished for him. As they parted, Rebecca caught his arm. Ethan, I'm sorry. For what? You didn't do anything wrong. No, but I'm still sorry this is happening to you. Her kindness, after everything he'd done, broke something inside him. I made a terrible mistake, Rebecca. Not just with Sophia. With us, she shook her head. We both made mistakes. Go fix this one, then we'll talk. The confrontation happened at Ethan's penthouse that evening. He'd called Marcus, briefed him on the situation, and together they'd implemented emergency protocols to protect the Neuralink deal. Then he'd waited for Sophia to return from her photo shoot. She breezed in around 8, shopping bags in hand. Hi, darling. You wouldn't believe the day I've had. I think I would, Ethan said calmly from his position by the window. Considering you spent it with Jackson planning how to manipulate Donchen's stock. Sophia froze, her expression cycling rapidly from shock to calculation to a strange, relieved smile. Finally figured it out, did you? Took you long enough? Why? On the single word contained all his hurt, betrayal, and confusion. Why does anyone do anything? She set down her bags, her demeanor completely transformed. Gone was the warm, adoring woman he'd fallen for. In her place stood a cold, calculating stranger. Money, revenge, the thrill of the game. You used me. You were an easy mark, Ethan. Successful, lonely, with an obvious weak spot for validation. She moved to the bar and poured herself a drink. The great Ethan Donovan, so brilliant with technology, so clueless about people. You were never going to marry me. Sophia laughed, a harsh sound nothing like the melodic laugh he'd fallen for. God, no, though the ring was a nice bonus. I assume it's real. Was any of it real? He asked, hating how pathetic he sounded. Her expression softened fractionally. Would it make you feel better if I said yes? That I developed genuine feelings for you despite my intentions? Only if it's true. Then no, it wasn't real. Not for me, she sipped her drink. You left your wife of 15 years for someone you'd known for months. What does that say about you, Ethan? The question hit him like a physical blow. Does Jackson know you're here? He asked, changing tactics. He's expecting me. We're flying to Geneva tonight. She glanced at her watch. In fact, I should be going. You're not going anywhere, Ethan said. The FBI is on their way. They're very interested in your insider trading scheme. For the first time, uncertainty crossed Sophia's face. You're bluffing, am I? Check the business news. The Neuralink deal closed this afternoon, a day early. Announcement goes out in 1 hour. He pulled out his phone, showing her the press release draft. Whatever you and Jackson were planning, it's too late, Sophia's composure cracked. You couldn't have known. I was careful, not careful enough. Your phone calls were recorded. Your real background discovered. Your relationship with Jackson exposed. She lunged for her purse, presumably for her phone, but Ethan had already removed it. I trusted you, Ethan said quietly. I gave up everything for you. That's what makes it a con, Ethan, Sophia replied, some of her confidence returning. The mark's greed, or in your case ego, makes them overlook the obvious. Was Rebecca part of this? Sophia actually laughed. Rebecca? God, no. She has actual integrity. Jackson tried to recruit her after your company's tech hurt his sister in that Mindscope trial. She refused. The doorbell rang. Ethan moved to answer it, keeping Sophia in his sight. 2 FBI agents stood in the hallway alongside Marcus. Ms. Laurent, the female agent said, "We'd like you to come with us." Sophia's mask of confidence finally shattered completely. "I want a lawyer. You'll need one," the agent replied, leading her away. Jackson was arrested at San Francisco International Airport with fake passports and $2 million in bearer bonds in his luggage. The FBI found evidence of a sophisticated scheme targeting multiple tech executives over the years, with Ethan as their biggest mark yet. The scandal made headlines for weeks. Donchin's stock took a hit, but stabilized after the Neuralink deal proved legitimate. Ethan resigned as CEO nevertheless, handing control to Marcus while he cooperated with authorities. The worst blow came when forensic accountants discovered that Sophia had systematically drained nearly $40 million from his personal accounts through a series of transfers he had authorized. Without reading the fine print, the money had disappeared into offshore accounts beyond recovery. 6 months later, the Malibu house was the last to go. Ethan had sold everything else to pay legal fees and fines. He hadn't been criminally charged. The FBI accepted that he'd been a victim, not a conspirator, but civil penalties for the security breaches had been substantial. As he packed the last of his personal belongings into cardboard boxes, the doorbell rang. He opened it to find Rebecca standing there, looking as polished as ever. "The real estate agent called me," she explained. "Apparently there were some papers you needed to sign." "You could have had your assistant bring them," Ethan said, stepping back to let her in. "I wanted to see how you were doing." Ethan gestured around the empty house. "About as well as you'd expect." Rebecca nodded, setting her briefcase on the counter. "I heard Marcus is keeping a position for you. Head of R&D. No management responsibilities, just research. It's more than I deserve." "Self-pity doesn't suit you, Ethan." He smiled ruefully. "Neither does poverty, apparently." "But here we are." Rebecca pulled out the paperwork. "Sign these and the house sale is final." As he signed, he asked, "How's Olivia?" "Good. Thriving at Berkeley. She's thinking about neuroscience as a major. Like father, like daughter. She asks about you, you know. She's still angry, but she misses you." Ethan looked up hopefully. "Really?" "You're still her father, Ethan. That hasn't changed." He finished signing and handed back the papers. "Thank you, Rebecca. Not just for this, for everything. For not saying I told you so. Would it help if I did?" she asked with a hint of her old wry humor. "Probably not," he admitted. "I say it to myself enough." They walked to the door together. On the threshold, Rebecca turned to him. "What will you do now?" "Rent an apartment. Focus on work. Try to rebuild some kind of relationship with Olivia." He paused. "Learn to live with my mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, Ethan. Not like this." "No," she agreed. "Not like this. But the question is what you do afterward." She handed him a business card. Not hers, but a therapist's. "I started seeing Dr. Chen after we separated. It helped." Ethan took the card, touched by her concern despite everything. "I'm sorry, Rebecca. For all of it." "I know," she said simply. "Goodbye, Ethan." He watched her walk to her car, the woman who had once been the center of his world, now moving in a different orbit entirely. Back inside, he looked around the empty house one last time. The late afternoon sun streamed through the wall of glass, illuminating nothing but bare floors and vacant walls. It reminded him of a museum after hours, beautiful but hollow. His phone rang. Marcus, with news about their latest research breakthrough. Ethan answered, stepping outside to lock the door behind him. In the distance, the Pacific stretched to the horizon, constant and ever-changing, much like life itself. He had built an empire once. Perhaps, with time, he could build something more meaningful. Wisdom, humility, redemption. It wouldn't be easy or quick. Nothing worthwhile ever was. As he walked away from his glass house for the final time, Ethan Donovan carried with him the heaviest and most valuable thing he'd ever possessed. the truth about himself.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.